This meeting is being recorded.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome again to another bonus episode of the Kickout Crew. You see, it's me, and we got once again Miss Anna. Anna, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing, Mike?
I'm doing fantastic. Beautiful day over here.
Really?
So,
We're getting like thunderstorms and everything. So if there's a little bit of background noise, that's
oh,
going on.
that's perfectly fine. We had those all week, so I understand that. So, Anna, you want to tell them what we're watching today?
Today, we are going to break down King of the Ring 2000, right? 2001? Okay,
2001.
with Shane McMahon and Kurt Angle. So I'm
Kurt
really
Angle.
excited about this one.
So, if we bring up our Peacock, we are at season 9, episode 1, and the time is 1 hour, 39 minutes, and 6 seconds. So, are we ready?
We are ready.
3, 2, 1, play. And we have coming out now, Shane.
Mhm.
So this was King of the Ring 01, as we got Shane McMahon coming out. At the time, Shane was the owner of WCW, right? That's when we had the invasion angle.
Mhm.
This was the last King of the Ring of the WWF era. It was the 9th King of the Ring.
Okay.
And it took place June 24th, 2001 in East Rutherford, New Jersey, right?
Okay.
And Continental Airlines Arena. It had the attendance of 17,777 people. Do you know who was on the announce table?
No, my volume's off.
It was JR and Paul Heyman.
Classic.
So, classic, definitely. This was, I would say, the time Jerry the King was let go.
Really?
Right.
It was
Yeah.
around this time that happened?
I'm thinking that's when it happened.
Okay.
Somewhere, maybe. I could be wrong. He left and came back so many times.
Yeah.
So, we do have, we got Kurt Angle coming out. This is Kurt Angle's 3rd match of the night. He was in the King of the Ring tournament, and he wrestled Christian the first match, and he won. And in the finals, he wrestled Edge, and he lost because of interference with Shane McMahon. So he's probably tired right about now, if you ask me.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, so you got any questions going into it as we're getting going and Shane's getting his butt kicked?
For now, he's getting his butt kicked. He really gets it later in the match. But yeah, why did you pick this match to break down? Is this one of your favorites, or does this match hold special significance to you?
No, I think this is just one of my favorites, showing something from Shane. Him not as a competitor every week or anything like that, and he just gives hell of a matches when he comes out. So I'm a big Shane fan. So, and I like this match is just brutal. So,
despite the quad injury, how excited were you when he came out at WrestleMania this year?
oh man, I jumped. I popped so hard, and then he came out 5 seconds later. I was like, oh man.
Good save by Snoop, though.
Yeah, it was definitely a good save. One hell of a people's elbow, that's for sure.
The way he hit the ropes, man, if they don't put that in next year's 2K game, I'm going to be mad. That's a missed opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. Because that was great.
Yeah,
but he did good, especially being on the fly and everything else. He did real good for that one.
Oh, for sure.
So, how far along are you doing on your training now?
So, I would say we're about, what month is it? April. I would say we're about like 7 months in right now, but things are kind of moving at a slower pace, just because it's not my full-time job. So, I mean, I do have to work and provide for myself. So I don't get to be there as often as I want to be. But right now we're learning like headlock takeovers and up and overs, doing in-ring drills, just trying to get like that cardiac health up a little bit so we can have those longer matches in the future. So that's something my trainer is definitely focusing on. is those in-ring drills and trying to torture us for a good chunk of the, practice. And then we get to learn the wrestling when we're already like blasting in sweat and just super fatigued. But that's fine. That's probably normal. So
and they do say there's a difference between being in shape and ring shape.
Yes, ring shape is different than just being in shape, because you can probably go find someone at the gym and show them what you do in the ring, and they probably wouldn't be able to last long.
They would have no idea.
Not a clue. So, I mean, is he already busted up here?
Probably.
Yeesh.
Yeah, he sure is. Right above the eye, looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure is. And then, if I'm not mistaken, you got to go to a special training course not too long ago.
I did. I got to go to Booker T's fantasy camp down in Houston. That was definitely, I got my ass handed to me on a silver platter. It was a lot of fun though. Basically he does these camps where, just the general population is invited. So like if you are interested in becoming a wrestler, come spend 5 hours in Booker T's ring and see if you really want to do it. If you really think you're cut out for it, if you really want to drop that amount of money, sure, you'll leave knowing whether or not you want to do it. And I mean, I met with Booker T and he was wonderful. Charmel, his wife, probably top 10 favorite human on this earth. She's just absolutely lovely. But definitely learned quite a bit from him and the trainers there. And at the end, he hosted a Q&A, so he was able to give us a little bit of insight of what it means to kind of just be in the business. So that was a lot to learn from him too. I think I learned more from him verbally than I did physically. So he was definitely, it was a great time, and I still feel pretty sore from it. And that was like a month ago, but I mean, he really puts everybody through the ringer on that.
So is it a different type of training, like the classes? I mean,
so basically, it was like a 5-hour course. So just like 12 to 5. We started off, just doing the wrestler workouts, the Hindu squats, burpees, things like that. We did a lot of cardio workouts, and then we did a lot of in-ring drills. So, I mean, if you're already a little bit out of shape, you're really going to hate doing stuff like this, because once you go from the in-ring drills, then you get to the wrestling stuff, the stuff that you see on the TV that's cool, but your body's already like super fatigued. Got to push through, and that's kind of part of it. So we did let's see, wrist locks and headlocks, like just super basic stuff that you want to teach the newer people. You're not going to go over advanced stuff to people who have never wrestled a day in their life. So it was definitely physically exhausting, and then I also had like a 9-10 hour drive after that, so that was also like, wow, I think I'm getting too old, honestly, to do stuff like this. But I knew if I stayed overnight in a hotel, I would have been too tired the next day. So I just,
Hey, you did old school. That's what they used to do. They went and did their match, got in the car, and drove for a couple hours. So
yeah, man, I'm all about saving money. I'm not going to go get a hotel if I can just make it to the next rest stop, just crash for a few hours and go on. Like, I ain't doing that. So
and we look now. We got Shane. He's staying on the rail behind the announcers, doing, I guess, running away from Kurt.
Is that Mike KOTR refereeing?
It looked like it. I can't see right now, but it is. Yeah, I think it is.
He's awesome, man. He's probably one of my favorite refs that come out of that era for sure.
I was kind of hoping, when they were kind of saying there was going to be a referee in the Hall of Fame, I was hoping he would be one of them. But I was excited for Tim White. That was good.
Tim White was an excellent choice for the Warrior Award, absolutely. But I think they should routinely induct referees into the Hall of Fame. They are just as important, if not one of the most important parts of the matches. So I think that should be a new precedent they set for that.
I agree. What do you think of the Hall of Fame this year?
I think it was brilliant. Lots of wonderful inductees. I was really excited that Andy Kaufman got his flowers. One of my favorite Jim Carrey movies is Man on the Moon, and it's definitely a really hard movie to watch sometimes, but I didn't realize how big of an impact wrestling had on Andy Kaufman. So that was definitely really enlightening. Obviously, Rey Mysterio. Obviously, the dude's a Hall of Famer. It caught me off guard though, because it had me worried. I'm like, are we in Rey's like final year? Like, what's going on? Because I was really sure it was going to be Batista headlining, but maybe
it does make sense. And what do you think about them putting him in as he's still active? You think it was the right time, or?
I mean, I think so. I mean, they've done that before, haven't they?
I think they've had go into Hall of Fame and then return. So like they might have retired and then came
It's
back.
like Kurt Angle went into the Hall of Fame.
But he said he
Lita.
never planned on coming back. Lita, Trish Stratus. So
Yeah,
there is
so
definitely a bunch
I
of Hall of
guess
Fame.
it threw everybody off guard because obviously Rey Mysterio is a Hall of Famer, but like, I mean, I think a lot of us were expecting people kind of like Dave Bautista or someone who's declared retired to come back and plant their flowers.
And that's what you would originally think.
For sure. And Stacy Keibler absolutely was a wonderful choice. I'm excited to see, you know, who they could have next year. I'm really rooting for Victoria. I really think she deserves her flowers. And I wouldn't be mad if they also chose to induct more than one woman into the Hall of Fame, just because there's so many that they could probably choose from. So we'll see how it all plays out.
Yeah, and I'm kind of surprised they didn't do a tag team this year.
Who's left other than the Hardy Boys?
New Age Outlaws.
Oh, yeah, no, you're not wrong. I guess, yeah, I don't know why they didn't do a tag team this year. I mean, I know like what the time will come for the Hardy Boys, 10 years probably, but it'll come. They'll get their flowers and go back. But you know, I was also wondering that too. I was like, they usually do a tag team or like a Warrior Award, a woman, a male headliner, and a celebrity. Like I was like, who's left? So
speaking of Hardy Boys, I think somebody had it come up and coming this past week.
Jeff Hardy. Oh my gosh. When that theme hit, instant tears. Now, of course, you know, Matt has the same theme, so I'm a little desensitized to it. But with Jeff, you know, like it makes me really happy to see somebody who has overcome everything that he has to come back and kind of just take that second chance. And, you know, he deserves this. And I'm going to take Matt's word for it, and I'm going to see what I believe. And not that Jeff Hardy owes anybody anything, but, you know, he's back there. He's doing what makes him happy. I just hope that he's healthy and he's safe while he's doing it. You know, he doesn't have to prove anything to us anymore. He doesn't have to climb on a 30-foot ladder and do a double swanton on anybody. He has earned those flowers. I just hope he's safe. That's all I want. But I'm really happy Jeff Hardy's back in wrestling.
I am too. And I think he deserves it. So it's definitely a good thing for him.
Mm-hmm.
And we see Kurt Angle getting smacked upside the head.
And Kurt is definitely one of the best to ever do it. You know, one of the best technicians, I think, in my opinion. He's just fantastic.
And for how fast he became a top star, it, you know, showed a lot of stuff in him. Mm-hmm. And you were talking about Andy Kaufman earlier. Did you happen to see the A&E special with Jerry King Lawler?
It's been a long time, but yeah, I've seen it.
Well, they had one came out, I guess, a few weeks ago. It came out on A&E.
Where Jerry kind of did like his own little induction for Andy for the Hall of Fame. Yeah, I saw that.
Thing. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who would you like to model yourself after if you got to pick between Kurt and Shane? So are you going to be that stunt devil high flyer, or are you going to be that super athlete in Kurt Angle?
I mean, I'm being trained to be a Kurt Angle right now. My trainer, Kurt Angle, is one of his guys, you know, one of his main influences. So, I mean, we're all being trained to do hybrid stuff. But I definitely gravitate more towards Kurt. But if I'm having a bad day, I wouldn't mind doing some Shane O'Mac kind of moves. You know what I mean? Like because the thing about being a wrestler is you have to be reckless. You cannot use your brain. Otherwise, you create a barrier for yourself. No one's going to want to voluntarily throw themselves on their back for a flat back bump. But you just have to break that barrier. You have to be a little reckless. And so if I'm having a bad day, I might climb on something and just jump. And so like, I guess I could be a happy morph of either of them, but I'm being trained as a Kurt Angle, definitely not as a Shane McMahon. So.
Yeah. Well, you know, maybe one day we'll see Miss Anna jump off a ladder sometime.
Probably not, because I would like to have a long, healthy career with minimal lower back pain. So we'll see what happens. But if I feel like I need to do the move, I'll do it. But it won't be a spot fest kind of thing. It'll just be if it feels right.
That works. So I guess if you were the owner's daughter, you wouldn't want to put yourself through what Shane does.
Are you asking like if
Well,
I was Stephanie McMahon?
Well, the question, it was asked from Brad. He said, if you were the owner's daughter, would you put yourself through all this, meaning kind of what Shane's doing in King of the Ring, and how far would you go?
Well, I mean, I'm in training to be a wrestler. So I mean, I guess I would put myself through it. In terms of like, like the McMahons and stuff, I can't even fathom what it would like to be a child of a McMahon, just because I can't put myself in that situation, because we grew up very differently, like, whereas I never knew where my next meal was going to come from because I grew up in severe poverty. I at least didn't have to walk on a house with eggshells. And so I can't possibly relate to either of the McMahon kids. But I will say, if my dad was Vince McMahon, I would want to wrestle. Absolutely. I would love to learn how to do that. And that's exactly what I'm doing right now. So I don't know. I guess it's a hit or a miss question, but I hope I answered that right.
Yeah, it is. It came from Brad, so go figure. It is, kind of crazy too. Shane, it came up in that wealth, being the owner's son, and he's over here getting thrown to glass and jumping off Hell in the Cell and off the Titantron, and I mean, he's just going all in on it, and that's what he's known for. So. That's
true. And I mean, he's done some risky stuff. There's a spot in here, I'm pretty sure it's this match, that I really don't like. Does it involve plexiglass and suplexes?
Yes.
I hate that. And I hate that it happens like 3 times before it's successful.
Before it does anything. I agree.
Spoiler alert to anyone who doesn't know this match, but like, I hate it. So Mike, fun fact about me is that I'm a neurophysiologist. So the spine and the brain are my babies. And so that's another reason why I want to do things very safe at a slower pace. When learning a lot of this, I want to personally feel comfortable with the bumps I'm taking. And so when I see that horrible spot that they do here later in the match, where they're trying to get the plexiglass to break, but it doesn't, and they just keep on doing the move over, it makes me cringe physically. It's really hard to watch. It's not enjoyable for me personally.
Right.
I see what these injuries do to people long term, and it's not a good idea. So kids, really don't try this at home. Seriously,
don't, definitely, really.
They put that disclaimer there for.
You have The Miz. I mean, he's been wrestling forever now. No big injuries, really. So I mean,
longevity is the key, and being confident to say no to bumps, and like that's something that I think my trainer's trying to get across to all of us. Like, it's okay to say no if you're not comfortable doing a spot or taking a bump. It's your body. You get to decide what you put it through. So like, that's another thing that I think I'm really proud of wrestling for evolving to, is especially, with the tragic news story that broke out in 2007 and how we've evolved from that. In terms of taking concussions seriously, injuries, neck injuries, especially because we've lost, we've had shorter careers of some of our favorite wrestlers due to neck injuries. So, I mean, how can we prolong those careers and take care of our people? And I'm glad that WWE is taking that a lot more seriously, as well as AEW and other, promotions out there as well. So that's another reason why my training's going a little bit slower, is because I want it to be that way, because I don't want to rush through it and learn something unsafely. I want to do this as safe as possible if I want to really do it for my career.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about. Like you said, and having that long run. You want that long run. You don't want to go in there for 3 or 4 years and be done. So you can go in it for the long haul and have a good time while we're doing it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Did you pay attention to the setup of this?
I mean, I know it's a street fight.
Well, I'm talking about at the stage area. They had the big.
No, I haven't.
Stuff like that.
Mm-mm.
I'm sure I'll show it here in a little bit. But what did you think of, like, back in the day when they had different stages, like the entrance ramp coming up? They would have a bunch of things. I think it was Backlash. They had the things that would swing in back and forth and all that.
I guess I'm kind of indifferent on it. Like, I like the wrestling. I don't really mind the aesthetics. I know why they're there. Like the iconic SmackDown fist, from the early era. Obviously, that checks out, SmackDown. But like, I've never really cared for the aesthetics. I mean, I just want to focus on who's in the ring and what they're doing. So, I mean, I guess I don't really have a preferred stage or anything like that. I mean, I haven't really thought to pay attention to it, I guess. That's probably just my lack of attention to detail. But
well, back in this day, they would do it with a lot of the pay-per-views. They would have like a special setup for it, not just like how kind of how WrestleMania is.
yeah.
So they would just do it with a lot of the other pay-per-views and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So the one thing I don't like they have now is how the ring and all the barricades are LED. I'm not a big fan of that.
Gotcha. Not you want like the curtain aprons. That's what
I'm
you
good.
want.
Yeah. And here comes your spot right here with the plexiglass.
It's awful. I hate it, and I hate that he wants to continue to be put through that. Like Shane McMahon gave us so much, and it's asinine to me. Like, why would you, as a wrestler, why would you want to put your body through that if you know the plexiglass won't break? But they eventually get it. But
yeah.
Oh, it hurts.
Are you still here? Here goes number 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there it is. And one of these spots too, Kurt Angle actually breaks his tailbone when he's doing that. I think it was that second one that he broke his tailbone. So he's hurt.
The things that our childhood heroes gave us for our entertainment now makes me just physically ill to think about. Like, Kurt Angle's broken freaking neck, and the amount of injuries wrestlers have worked through to get on the next show and to give us that entertainment. I'm glad the times have changed a little bit.
I am too. We definitely see it. We see some more of this in AEW than we do in WWE now, but
yeah, I feel like there's a drastic difference between both of those promotions. Did they just do it again?
They did again. He's trying to get back to it.
Kurt Angle.
First time, not once, not twice. There's number 3. And he's just, you can tell he's hurting. They said Vince McMahon, I guess, was in the back trying to tell him to stop the match.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Because that's what a boss should be doing here. And it just doesn't.
And there's number 4. Still didn't go through.
That's so hard. I just hope both of these guys got paid 6 digits to do something.
I hope so.
Because he just gave up and just ran him through it.
Yeah. They did say Kurt Angle on his show said that those glass was supposed to be different than the other ones, but I guess with the pyro, I guess they had something else there, but the pyro, it was going off and it was breaking the glass. So they kind of had to do it a little bit heavier.
Get something a little bit more firm.
Yep. So that's kind of how that whole thing came about.
Yeesh.
And I guess he's trying to pin him outside.
Man, Mike Chioda is always fighting for his life anytime he has to ref a match like this.
He does. And he's a great referee, like you said before.
He's one of my favorites, for sure. Him, Charles Robinson. So many good ones.
He's good. Who's one of your favorites now that's out there?
Oh, gosh. I don't remember her name. Really, in WWE, either of the women referees have really caught my attention. I think the one who was at the segment with Snoop, The Miz, and then Shane McMahon, is her name Jessica?
I think so. Yes.
Okay, I think her, and I don't remember the other girl's name. She's darker complected. I like her a lot too. But it's just I'm really hell-bent on Mike Chioda. He is my dream referee. Like, if I can construct my own dream match, I need Mike Chioda there to take that for me, because he's just was always my favorite part, because this man was fighting for his life in some of these matches. Like in a good Mick Foley match, look at Mike Chioda. Like, he's really doing his part in making the match look as legitimate as it is. So lots of respect.
And he also did The Rock and Hogan.
He did. Yeah.
So he was third man in the ring on that one.
He's got quite the resume for sure.
That he does. And I wish he still did it. I do listen to he has a podcast out. So
on ad-free shows, right? I think.
Yes, on ad-free shows. It's Ask Chioda. And he's just an amazing person with everything that he does.
I agree.
So we see Kurt having a hard time getting the dead body of Shane back in the ring. He ain't going nowhere.
No, he is not.
I would definitely say you can definitely tell he's hurting. I think they're both hurting right now.
Oh, for sure. Especially Kurt. He just wrestled in like 2 other matches before this.
Yeah. And we get a kick out.
And of course we get a kick out. Jeez. What's it gonna take? Just make him tap out or pass out, Kurt. Put him in an ankle up.
So were you watching around this time in 01?
Yeah, I started watching in about 2000, but I was also like super young. So a lot of this I don't remember a ton of, especially when it was pay-per-views, because we didn't watch pay-per-views because they cost money and we didn't have a lot of that. So we mostly just watched whatever we were allowed to on cable TV, so SmackDown or Raw. But
right. Yeah, I didn't get a long time. I didn't get a lot of the pay-per-views unless, a bunch of us got together and kind of threw in some money. Or do we go out to like a sports bar or something like that? And
sports bars like Buffalo Wild Wings was always a safe option if you wanted to watch WrestleMania or SummerSlam or something like that. But so I never watched any of those pay-per-views. I always waited until the Raw after so they could explain what happened. I was like, oh, okay, so he lost the title and she won the title. Okay, that's a choice. So yeah, I mean, that's how I hope the current format with Peacock stays the same, where we can all still enjoy those premium live events as part of our subscription. I guess we'll have to stay tuned.
I think that's gonna be a what if situation. I mean, especially now. So I'm hoping to.
A lot of people are going to be super unhappy if they have to pay $70 for something they only paid $5 to watch last year on a subscription service. So that's going to be a choice.
And it's been on Peacock or the network for what, 7 years now, 8 years, something like that. So
something like that, yeah.
We've had that option to watch it for, like I said, $5 or $10 for the network for 7 years now. Nobody's going to want to change it. Like, no. I wouldn't want to. That's for, like, especially now you got, AEW pay-per-views, Ring of Honor pay-per-views, all that other stuff. So, and there was also, I guess, a big announcement for AEW going to London.
I heard about that. I'm excited for them. I think they'll do it. They can definitely pull a large audience for that, I do believe. So
I think that would be definitely a make 'em situation if they get there and sell it out. So
I think they could go overseas and make something happen, because I feel like AEW is for those hardcore pro wrestling fans, and WWE is also for those pro wrestling fans, but it focuses a lot on the showboating and the pageantry stuff, and so I feel like AEW is for those who grew up watching this era and want to see more of this, because you don't really see a lot of this on WWE anymore, like you previously stated. So this is, definitely, this almost looks like a Jon Moxley match to me.
Right.
So,
and you see that now, Kurt Angle.
There's no fork in Shane McMahon's head. That still freaks me out.
We just seen Kurt Angle. He had that board in the corner with an angle slam off that. So definitely something you don't see every day. Don't see it at all today. I mean.
But at the same time, when you have two wrestlers like this with similar mindsets of wanting to put on a really good show that are both daredevils, and that's it.
There we go. There we had the 3 count. So Kurt Angle won that match. What'd you think of it? Was that your first time watching that one the whole way through, or?
I think so. I maybe spot watched this a while back, but I mean, whenever I accepted my current job, I wanted to learn a little bit more about neck injuries. And so there was a compilation I watched on YouTube, and it had a whole segment on combat sports. And this was one of those things that it showed on how to do this safely and all of that. So, I mean, I think this is the first time I've watched it fully, and that was hard to watch, because whereas these are both amazing wrestlers, I just I can't fathom putting myself in that situation. I don't think you can do enough.
And honestly, I don't think there's a safe way you can put yourself through a glass wall like that. I mean,
nope. Yeah, I think that was a choice. That was a choice. Whoever produced that match, unless it was Shane or Kurt's idea, that was what they wanted to do, and they eventually got to it twice. But that's tough.
It took a lot out of them.
It did. For sure. And like I said, I hope they got a really pretty penny for this because, ouch.
I hope so. I really hope so too, because like you said, they put themselves through a lot of it.
Yeah.
And, both of them great competitors and both of them great in the ring. I would like to see a lot more of Shane, like every day, every week wrestler. I think he would have done good. But like I said before, for the times that he has been in there, he's put on a show. So,
oh, for sure.
If he's in that ring, you're definitely going to get a show out of him.
Absolutely.
So, but yeah, so that was that one, King of the Ring 01. Mm-hmm. And we got anything else? Anything else you got to let off?
Well, in our last interview, we talked about, our Mount Rushmores of women's wrestling. So tell me, who is your Mount Rushmore of men's wrestling?
Ooh, men's. Okay. Let's see. Well, Stone Cold, I would say, just because he's one of my all-time favorites. Stone Cold is up there. Shawn Michaels definitely has to be in there. He definitely has the ring work. Sting was always a big favorite to me, so I would use him as a favorite. Let's see, and then we got a couple from now. I would have to say Roman has to be in there. With what he's been doing this past couple of years, he's turned over a new leaf, and so I would definitely put him on there. And I guess, of course, Cody Rhodes. He's done so much in the past couple of years too. I mean, from leaving WWE to doing independence, starting AEW, and coming back and main event in WrestleMania.
Right.
So I mean, those would be my 5 on my Mount Rushmore.
Not bad choices.
What about you?
Well, we share one, I think, Stone Cold Steve Austin, obviously. Randy Orton.
Nice.
He will always be on mine, and I'm going to plug John Alba's Patreon here. If you guys join his Patreon, you will hear me being the self-acclaimed defense attorney for Randy Orton. So we'll absolutely go to bat for him anytime. Edge has always been one of my favorites. And there was actually, he's one of the reasons why I'm doing this today, and how I'm alive. That's a whole other story if you want to get into it. And then probably HBK.
HBK.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'd say HBK is always going to be on somebody's Mount Rushmore. He's just
one of the best technicians, in my opinion, to ever do it. And of course, honorable mentions here are Eddie Guerrero. Seth Rollins has blown my mind. I think he can work with anybody and make them look outstanding. So, yes. And I think, I would put Eddie on mine, but it was just unfortunate. I just needed more out of his career to make that determination, but, can't go without saying Eddie or even Seth Rollins. They remind me so much of each other, and those two are a dream match of mine. I would have loved to see them just tear it up in the ring together.
And Rey Mysterio came out with Eddie's music this year at WrestleMania.
Oh my gosh, when I tell you I lost complete emotional control. That was because at first I thought it was going to be Dominic that would come out to Eddie's theme and, do Latino Heat maybe, or even the Lie, Cheat, and Steal. That would have been a good heel move for Dominic, but also coming out with like security and prison and that victim mentality. I love it. I'm loving the character that is Dominic Mysterio right now.
I agree.
He's definitely getting over a lot of heat. So we'll see what that amounts to, and if he can recover from it whenever it's time to make a babyface turn. So I'm really enjoying what I'm seeing with that for sure.
Yeah, I think when you can grab a mic and the fans automatically just boo so much where you cannot even speak, you're doing your job. And
there was a clickbaity headline that MJF addressed, but it was basically saying like, does Dominic now have more heat as a heel than MJF?
I've seen that.
I think, as clickbaity as that headline is, it makes you wonder. It's just like, do people genuinely hate Dominic like they do MJF? Because MJF lives the gimmick. You go to a meet and greet, he's in character.
All the time.
I can't really say the same for Dominic. I don't know, but Dominic is so good at playing that schoolboy victim mentality. You know, like he obviously did not have a dad who abused him. He had a dad who bought him a BMW instead of a Mercedes or something like that, you know? So like, that's obviously not a rough childhood. I mean, it probably was a rough childhood in hindsight, being on the road all the time, but it was not what Dominic is portraying it to be. Rey Mysterio is obviously not a deadbeat dad. So is that heat from the WWE crowd real? Are they really mad at Dominic? Like how the AEW crowd is really mad at MJF for throwing water on a small child and things like that, you know? So, I mean, it's a clickbaity headline, but those are the things that do make you question, like, which heel has the most heat right now? And yeah, so I'm really enjoying the Dominic and Rey Mysterio line. I think it's a good story to tell. It reminds me a lot of, there's a story that was actually mentioned on John Alva's Q&A that we did this past week. But there's just a lot of parallels to, the Jeff and the Matt to it. So I can see a lot. I'm really enjoying it. I think it's low-key my favorite story. It surpassed the Bloodline to me. So
yes, it's definitely up there. And I would say like the two difference though with MJF and Dom is when MJF grabs the mic, love him or hate him, you're gonna listen to what he says. Like his promo skills are off the chart. And then you got Dom, like I said, now when he grabs the mic, they just boom, so he can't even talk.
Exactly.
The last time I've seen that was with Roman Reigns right after he beat The Undertaker.
Oh yeah. That was sweet.
And up till like now, recently, I would say that was one of his best promos. And all he said was, "This is my yard now." Dropped the mic, walked away. I think they said he stood out there for 7 minutes, and the fans just kept giving it to him, and he couldn't say a word.
Right.
He picked the mic, said, "This is my yard now," dropped it, and walked out.
Now they're chanting "F you Roman" and all of that instead. So now they're not booing him; they're cursing at him. Where WWE has to pipe in some bleeping. So
definitely. So we definitely have a lot of good stuff coming on. I would definitely love to do this again if you're down for it. I know the fans loved it. They've asked for it again. So, I mean,
I don't know what I could possibly talk about, but I mean, anytime you want to have me on, I'm happy to be here.
We can always make it up as we go.
Sure.
So you want to give yourself some plugs and let people know where they can find you? And
sure. I am in character now. So I've converted all of my socials to Anna Ray. That is the ring name I'm going to go by. So I believe my Twitter handle is _Anna Ray. And my Instagram handle is Anna Ray. Some things are just
so
you guys can follow me on there as I complete my wrestling journey, and maybe later this year I'll make my debut. I will be the announcer for Diamond State Wrestling, the women's division, so that'll help me get a little bit more comfortable on the mic and public speaking. So I'll be doing that, and then we'll probably transition the debut. So if you are in the Arkansas area, wherever you're listening, come check out our show and you'll see your favorite here.
There we go. Well, Anna, it's been a pleasure. Thank you again. Everybody, thanks for listening. Of course, I am Mike Whitaker. You can find me at Whitaker1028. We are the Kickout Crew at Kickout Crew Pod on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, something. It's all about the same, at Kickout Crew. And one thing that we like to say on the show before we leave, Anna, is when life gets you down, kick it out too. Because that's what we do. And now you, because we are the Kickout Crew. So thank you.